there, it's Nicole for Lawn Fawn, and today I have a pretty snowflake card showcasing Lawn Fawn stamps and dies and the chameleon color tones pins in the cool tones. I'll talk a little bit more about those and the unique properties of using those a little bit later in the video. I'm going to start by die cutting my Let It Snow border die from some smooth white cardstock. And I am going to tape it in place because I'm going to be using that top panel as well as the actual scripty border die cut for my card today. For the finished card, I am going to die cut that Let It Snow 2 more times so that I can build up my greeting and really make it stand out a little bit more. And you're going to want to make sure that you hold on to that little dot from the eye. You can kind of see it in the top right corner of my screen. It's very teeny tiny. I'm going to go ahead and pop out that scripty greeting kind of gently. It is die cut all the way. It's just very delicate. So I'm going to set that aside. And then I'm going to grab my Ranger Craft sheet and some Mermaid Lagoon Distress ink and ink up that top portion of the panel. I'm going to take the mini ink blending tool and apply the ink to this entire panel here. It's going to be the top portion of my card design. Kind of go gently over any of that area that is die cut so you don't accidentally, kind of wrinkle that paper up or anything like that. When applying the Distress ink to smooth white cardstock, I find that the ink generally kind of absorbs into the paper nicer and evens out, if that makes sense. Like you can see quite a few of the marks from applying the ink to this paper here with the ink blending tool. But I think as that ink dries, it really kind of softens and evens out and smooths out. Go ahead and set all of this aside, and then I'm going to be adding another snowy element to this top panel with the Snowy Backdrops border stamp. I'm applying some Yeti white pigment ink, and then I'll stamp that over the entire panel. And that's just going to add to the fun snowy theme of this card. I'll go ahead and set that aside and die cut some snowflakes from some smooth white cardstock using the Lawn Fawn mini snowflakes dies. And I am using the chameleon color tones pins here. The great thing about these is these pins have a mixing chamber and the toning medium built in. So you can get multiple shades of a certain color out of one marker. What you want to do is there are 2 ends to each of the pins. There's kind of like the nib and then a brush tip. So whichever tip you're using, I used the brush tip more for what I was coloring here. But you want to flip that in to the mixing chamber, hold it there for a little bit. It depends. The longer you hold it there, the more of the toning medium is going to get into the color. So the lighter it's going to be when you start. And I started with the lightest color on the tips of the snowflakes and gradually got darker as I got to the center of the snowflake. So it just depends. You may have to go ahead and apply or, place that tip back into the mixing chamber with the toning medium several times if the color gets too dark on you. So I kind of started on each tip, worked my way in, and then I would flip it back into the mixing chamber to get that toning medium, which is kind of like a colorless blender with Copics, only it's all built into one pin. Hold it there for a minute and then start coloring. So I would go over the tips and then gradually work my way in so you can see it definitely gets darker towards the center. It just makes it nice that you can color an entire image with all shades using one single pin. Kind of a neat concept. I'm going to finish coloring in the rest of these snowflakes here. I want to have a nice assortment of snowflakes across the whole bottom edge of this card. I ended up using all 5 colors from the Cool Tones Chameleon pin set. I love that they automatically all coordinate really nicely with each other. There's some blues and teals and purples. Nice, cool, pretty colors for snowflakes, I think. finish coloring in this one small snowflake. I thought I needed one more little one here with a little of that purple or violet. Then I'm going to take this little dotted line stamp from the Joy to the Woods stamp set, and I'm going to just carefully remove that top portion and greeting from the card and make sure that I have my snowflakes lined up across the bottom edge of the card exactly where I want them to go. I'm not attaching anything yet. I try to not attach anything if I'm going to be using embossing powder, just because I don't want it to accidentally stick to any adhesive. So whenever possible, I like to not attach anything until I've done the stamping and embossing. And what I'm going to be doing here is stamping some lines so that it looks like the snowflakes are all hanging along the bottom edge of the card. So I'll remove that top panel in the greeting and carefully line up and stamp each of these lines coming from the snowflake up. Part of these are going to be covered up for the most part, but I want them to be fairly straight, so I'm just going to stamp all of these. Go ahead and remove this snowflake on the right and stamp that last line, and then I'm going to carefully move all of those snowflakes right below my panel, keeping them in order, sprinkle on my silver embossing powder and heat set that. Then I'm using some bling glue dots to attach these snowflakes so that it looks like they're hanging from those silver strings. I'm just attaching the glue dots in the center of each of the snowflakes. What I love about these bling glue dots is that they're so teeny tiny. They are my preferred way of attaching things like sequins and small die cut pieces to my card projects. I love that they're so teeny tiny and they are a nice secure bond. And they fit right in the center of each of these really delicate snowflakes, which is so handy. I like that the tips of the snowflake are not flat against the card. It gives them a little bit of sense of movement, like they really are hanging there. Go ahead and attach these last two snowflakes. Now, one thing is about stamping those lines. The stamp wasn't quite long enough for a couple of the designs. So I am going to have to go ahead and extend the lines by stamping the image again, just for two of the images, I believe. Sprinkle on a little more silver embossing powder and heat set that. And then I can go ahead and put the rest of the design together. On one of the Let It Snow scripty die cuts, I did take the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen and go over the entire die cut with this marker. It's going to give it a really subtle glitter look. It's really hard to see in the video and kind of in the photos. In real life, though, it has a nice shimmery shine to it. Then I attached the snowflake panel to the top of the hanging snowflakes and attached the Let It Snow die cut one on top of another right there underneath, kind of doing an inlay style design. Then I attached the whole panel to a white card base and trimmed off anything that was hanging off the edge. And then, this looks great as it is here, but I thought it would be fun to dress up my snowflakes with some sparkling clear Pretty Pink Posh sequins and some little teeny tiny clear gemstones. So I'm using both the 6mm and the 4mm size Pretty Pink Posh sparkling clear sequins. Used just a couple of the 6mm, mostly the 4mm size, and I'm attaching those to the center of each of those hanging snowflakes using a bling glue dot. And you can see already with just the addition of those 3 sequins how much they add to the sparkle and really bring those snowflakes to life. I'm going to round the corners with a 1/2 inch corner rounder. And then I'm taking these little teeny tiny gemstones. I find these at Hobby Lobby. That's why these are not linked in the supplies here. But I love them because they're about the smallest little clear gemstones I've ever found. And I attached those to the centers of each of the sequins. And then I thought it would be nice to add a few more kind of scattered throughout that bottom panel of the card, to really just dress it up again and add to the kind of more elegant feel of this design. So I'll finish with a few additional sequins and my card is all finished. Thanks for watching this video showcasing Lawn Fawn stamps and dies to create a Let It Snow snowflake card. Please visit the Lawn Fawn blog for more information on this project and for lots of inspiration for all of your card making and paper crafting needs. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.